Boom. This is for my ladies in recovery, trying to get better on the daily. Here's my story about how men jeopardize my growth in the rooms. Lay it down, Rye. See, imagine this. I'm a young girl, just turned 18 or 19, who gives a fuck, but I'm a human fucking being trying to get my recovery on, and then some like nasty ass dude comes up to me and he's like, "Hey baby," trying to slide in my DMs, trying to ask me out, trying to tell me I look cute, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I supposed to say to that? Here I am coming to these meetings, I don't have any fucking support yet in these meetings, and you're gonna come at me trying to shove your dick in my face. Fuck you. And really, what we're talking about here is that this is jeopardizing this attitude. I'd say this sexism in the fucking rooms is getting in the way of my recovery, but also the recovery of others. Not just ladies too, but people of all genders are really affected by this. And here's why. Because for me, living as a woman, most of the time, I tend to feel afraid when older men, predatory men, come at me in meetings trying to hit on me. I find it really, when I first started coming to meetings, it was enough to like keep me away from certain meetings. And it's really inappropriate. And especially coming in as like a young person who was a survivor. And like the point here being that like people who come to meetings are usually 10 times out of 10 unhealthy as fuck. Unhealthy as fuck. Just write them off as being a sick fuck all the time. And so my sick ass comes in with very little social skills, with very little boundaries, unable to really communicate what the fuck I need. And then dudes come up to me and try to hit me up, and this one guy even like totally kissed me during a meeting once, and it was like fucking disgusting. And I think the reason this is inappropriate is because if anybody who comes into the rooms are in an incredibly vulnerable state, especially the first year. And so to approach somebody trying to do a 13th step on their ass is really inappropriate. And I've learned this from being the recipient of people trying to 13th step me many times. And I'm gonna be honest. You know what? I tried to 13th step somebody. I did. I tried to 13th step this guy. He was kind of cute. Not gonna lie. I also just wanted to use him as a pawn of warfare in my games of love, which was very self-centered of me, to be honest. And so the point here being that me trying to 13 step somebody is almost just as fucking sick. Like it's sick on my end, right? So like the issue here is not with the newcomer. The issue here is with the person with time that's fucking 13 stepping somebody. And I'm saying this not as like a judgmental like, hey bitch. No. I'm saying this as I've done this too, but it's inappropriate and gonna call it out. And I've been the recipient of plenty of inappropriate comments in the rooms, and it sucks. And it's like recovery needs to be this safe space where I can go and anybody can really go and feel at home, feel able to express their feelings, feel accepted. And if I'm going to a meeting and somebody's literally hitting on me, you know what that means? That means that, I interpret that as being like something about me, like I'm not safe in this space, especially if other people aren't calling it out. Especially if like men in positions of power at the meetings aren't calling it out, then I'm left in this position of like, am I on my own here? And especially being somebody that was gender non-conforming coming into the rooms, it was like I didn't know who to rely on, men, women, who the fuck knows. So I just jumped in the queer community, and thank God that the queer community exists, because if I didn't have the queer community, then I probably wouldn't have gotten clean when I did, because I did not have the support that I needed at the time, because there were too many just predatory men in the meetings that freaked me out. And the reality is that I'm a young woman in the rooms. I have 3 years of recovery under my belt just for today. And like, I feel like the reason why I don't see more young women in the rooms is not because there aren't a shortage of young women with the disease of addiction, okay? It's because the meetings are fucking ass. You know, dudes hitting on young women in the meetings, that's inappropriate as fuck. And it needs to stop. It needs to stop. It needs to stop. So if you're a dude right now thinking about that newcomer that you really want to fuck, why don't you just take a look at yourself and remember that that person is coming in with probably an equal amount or even more baggage than you came in with. You know, you don't know what that person has gone through to get to where they're at, to get maybe a couple days clean or a couple hours clean. So I don't think it's appropriate to go and hit on that person or to make comments about how hot they are, you know, when the reality is that I don't know. I'm just trying to make a point here. Fuck with girls, we fight back. Recovery needs to be a fucking safe space. If you a man, whether or not you've been hitting on some newcomers, that doesn't matter to me. Fucking open your ears up and call it out when you hear it. Say, that's inappropriate. That person has less than this amount of time clean. And even if they did, even if they were in a healthy space, like, they are not an object. They deserve to be treated with respect, with dignity, with the same amount of just dignity that you would treat a young man walking into the rooms. And just because she's a young woman, just because she may look good in XYZ does not mean that you have the right to make comments about her appearance, does not mean that you have the right to flirt with her, does not mean that you have the right to anything. You don't even have the right to fucking hug her, so fuck off. Fuck off. Thank you.